Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, August 21st, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Commissioners of the City of Rehoboth Beach. We're live in City Hall, Commissioners Room, second floor of City Hall. I'd like to call this meeting to order at exactly 2 o'clock p.m. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In lieu of roll call, we'll let the minutes reflect that all 7 of the mayor and commissioners are present. Therefore, we have a quorum and are able to formally conduct business today. My folks aren't here from the Ovarian Society, so we're going to do them later. There is no correspondence relating to agenda items. With that, we're moving on to approval of minutes. We have listed in the agenda 11 sets of minutes. However, we are just approving 9 sets of minutes today. We are omitting 2 sets of minutes. Those sets of minutes not being voted on tonight are March 15th, 2024, and August 16th, 2024. With that, there's a slate of 9 remaining minutes for approval. Are there any corrections to those 9 sets of minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the 9 sets of minutes that I identified.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as follows. The executive sessions held on July 30th, 2026 and August 12th, 2026. Regular meetings held on April 19th, 2022, February 16th, 2024, April 19th, 2024, and July 17th, 2026. Special meetings held on July 30th, 2026 and August 12th, 2026. Workshop meeting held on October 6th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve 9 sets of minutes noted on the agenda and articulated by Commissioner Good.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, a question, because I have received all those minutes, except I'm worried I never received August 12th, 2026, that special meeting, and that was sent.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
So
I've seen all the others.
You can choose to vote or not.
Well,
With that, we'll just do a group call. All those in favor of approving the 9 sets of minutes identified tonight, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
abstain. I need to look for the August 12th minutes, which I haven't seen.
So noted. Thank you very much. With that, the 9 sets of minutes are approved. We move on to City Manager Report. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Good afternoon. I want to provide a quick update on Grove Park. Yesterday, Save a Tree came out and began pruning, and they will be back next week to begin removing the 5 trees that were identified for immediate removal. Insecticide treatment will also be applied to try to kill and stop the spread of the bacterial leaf scorch. We truly appreciate City Arborist Mike Lilly and Parks and Recreation Coordinator Tim Bamforth for their quick response and ability to get the work underway so that we can reopen the park as soon as possible. The situation may have thrown us all for a loop, but I do want to take a moment to thank everyone involved in the relocation of the farmers market to the convention center parking lot. Pat Caluzzi first for her ability to quickly organize the setup and configuration of the market in an entirely new space, and also to our parking department, police officers, public works department for coverage, signage, setup, and cleanup, and city hall staff for their flexibility when it came to actually parking. It was a great event here on Tuesday, and we look forward to having everyone back next week and for the foreseeable future until we have a better idea of what's happening with Grove Park. Also, speaking of Tim Bamforth, while I was out walking the other day, I was excited to see him watering the trees at Lake Gerard with our newly repaired water tank and pump, which will make that job much easier and more efficient. Quick reminder that due to Labor Day, our next Mayor and Commissioners meeting will take place on Tuesday, September 8th at 9 a.m. And finally, we are pleased to announce that earlier this week, the charter changes were approved and signed by the governor. I'm here for any questions you may have.
Any questions of the city manager?
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Good.
Two questions. Firstly, because we have never been given an accurate figure for the Connolly Gallagher investigative report that was done on the takeover. You said to a reporter that it was more than 25,000, but we never got any sort of real estimate. That's my first question. Do you have one?
I don't think we have the final bill from that, but I will check and I'll send it out.
Okay, my second question is one I've asked you by email repeatedly. There was an unusual 12.5% raise for one of the highest paid employees in City Hall under a contract from May of 2025. I'd like to know the current, how that was handled, because I've asked you repeatedly and you have refused to answer as to whether that, you at one point said, well, it would have to go for a vote before the board, and at that point it hadn't, and it still hasn't. But I'd like to know the status.
Yeah, the status is that did not take place.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? We're going to move right along to the Solicitor's report. Lisa?
No report, Mayor.
All righty. With that, we'll move on to the department reports. As you can see, there are support documents embedded electronically in the agenda from the Alderman's Court, Building and Licensing Police Department. So we're going to move right on to the...
Mayor?
Yes.
Excuse me if I may.
Commissioner Gossett.
Yes, since we have the police chief here, I was just curious, we've had the installation of the new stop signs along Columbia and State Road. Could you have any comments on enforcement in that area or what's been going on? Appreciate it.
Yes, since the stop signs have gone in both locations to additional, there has been some enforcement. We've had officers sitting there trying to use a lot of discretion and giving a lot of warnings. There's been a few citations issued. One was from a crash there at State and Munson, and a person was at fault and didn't realize there was a stop sign there and went through it, caused an accident. So they seem to be going well. And we are getting feedbacks from some residents, and all some positive, some negative. But that's that happens, and we have red flashing lights for at night, and all to make sure people understand that it's new four-ways or always stop signs. So I think it's going well. But yes, we are monitoring that, and I know the officers were out there on both streets today, State and Columbia, just watching the stop signs.
I did notice that on the State Road there are, as you mentioned, the red blinking lights at night, but I don't see those on Columbia. Is there an opportunity to install those on Columbia, or is there a question about that?
That'd be up to city manager, but we certainly can and probably should get in a habit anytime we have something new, at least for temporarily, 30 days, 60 days to let people know that it's kind of the trend now. I'm seeing that through municipalities in the state, but city manager.
Yeah, we would have to order them, but we certainly can.
Yeah, thank you. Just for consistency's sake, thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the departmental briefing. Building and licensing, it's going to focus on the CDP. Corey?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I wanted to give more of a process update today rather than a chapter-to-chapter update on the CDP. The 5-year CDP work is ongoing and it's moving forward, but a major part of that work right now is making sure that it's coordinated with several other planning efforts that are happening at the same time. Currently, we really have 4 interconnected work streams underway. We've got the 5-year CDP update. We have the Dover Colin Partners commercial zoning update. We have the Chapter 236 subdivision of land, site plan review, change of zoning rewrite, and we also have the new zoning map parcel-based GIS work that we're undertaking. And those projects can't be treated independently. So what that means is that a change in one place can ripple through several others. Depending on the structure of the new commercial zoning code changes, we could be changing entire zoning districts or how those districts are regulated. That can affect our official zoning map, that can affect our future land use map, portions of the CDP, and some of the site plan review triggers in Chapter 236, among other things. So the goal right now is not to get one document out in front of another one, and then have to go back and redo work. We're trying to get these projects operating on the same rhythm so that as decisions are made, we can identify all of the places affected by that decision and then update them together. In the meantime, there's plenty of work still to be done in the CDP, and that's what we're working on. That's where our attention is right now, reconciling and updating demographic and statistical information, gathering current data, updating existing conditions, and continuing the underlying parcel and GIS work that the later chapters and maps will rely on. The next major coordination point will be the first Dover Cole & Partners zoning draft, which we're expecting around September 8th. Once we have that draft, we will have a much better understanding of the form of the commercial zoning regulations are taking, and we can review that as not just the ordinance, but against the CDP and the future land use map, the zoning map, Chapter 236, and any other code provisions that depend on existing commercial district structure. We'll have to take a full look at everything that even references C1, C2, C3, and take a holistic look at that. From there, the work should become much more synchronized. Instead of separately reviewing the CDP, the zoning map, and development review procedures under 236, we can work across the documents at the same time and make sure they're saying the same thing. So I would characterize where we're at right now as sequencing rather than as pausing any work. We're continuing the work that can be responsibly done now while avoiding locking in portions of the plan that may immediately need to change once the zoning draft arrives. Ultimately, the objective is pretty simple. When the process is finished, the city's policy document, zoning regulations, development procedures, development review procedures, and maps should all work together as one coherent system rather than having conflicts between them. With that said, we will be having a brief update on the CDP at next Friday's Planning Commission meeting. That's where we're at right now.
Any questions by the commissioners? Thank you very much. Commissioner Stewart.
I just wanted to confirm, so after we get the draft, can you talk about where it goes then? Does it go to the Planning Commission and then come back to us, or how is that going to work?
So the anticipated sequence right now is we'll get the rough draft September 8th. That gives the city staff at least a few weeks to review it and make internal comments on it. And then we plan on presenting the draft along with our comments and sharing that draft as well ahead of time with the members of the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustment to be placed on their agendas at the end of September. The hope is after we've collected all of the relevant comments at that point to give them back to Dover Cole & Partners as one consolidated set. They then, per Joe's June 17th presentation here, will take those into consideration, provide us a second draft, which is the one that's anticipated to come before the commissioners.
In November.
In a perfect world, it would be in November with a possible consideration to set a resolution to hold a public hearing in December, which would still leave us with the timeline of the end of 2026.
Commissioner Thier.
Thank you. So just clarification for public participation, public comment. So it sounds like, just walk through that again. It sounds like end of September, you'll be presenting back to commissioners. So that would be an opportunity for the public to comment. And then in November, there'd be another presentation, opportunity for the public to comment. And then in December, the official public hearing is what I think I'm hearing.
Correct.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We have not received any summaries of recent board and commission reports, so we'll move right on. Next item of business. Committee reports, including possible consideration of approving future advisory committee agenda topics. Before we turn that over to City Streets and Safety Advisory Committee Chair Mark Saunders, I would like to say that as we soon offer opportunities for public input, please wait to be acknowledged by the chair and given the floor. And when a member of the public is recognized, then please come to the center microphone here. State your name and address or relationships to the city. And please be mindful that everyone gets 3 minutes so we can hear from as many voices as possible. The countdown clock's on the wall above the monitor and will beep when time is up. Thank you very much. And we'll turn it over to Commissioner Chair Mark Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. We don't have any official business to present today, but I did want to give everybody a brief update on where the advisory committee is right now. In July, we participated in the charrettes, and we had a good number of our members that actively participated and found them to be beneficial. And some of the information that we gleaned from those charrettes and the future information is going to be worked into our plans as we go forward with things like the bike path and so forth. So just kudos to everybody for putting those together, and I think they were beneficial. What we're currently working on, and we're in the middle of a couple of these items, we, of course, were asked by the commissioners to look into the possibility or the concerns that some folks had with the parking, the overnight parking being prohibited over on the east end, the southeast end of the city, Prospect, Queen, and parts of St. Lawrence. And we did have a really good public meeting. At our last meeting, we had I think we had somewhere around 8 or 9 speakers. We had numerous letters. I don't know to count them all, but we had quite a few interested people on both sides of the aisle discussing that and what we could do to make it work for everybody. And interestingly, right after the meeting, some of the pro people and the con people got together right outside there, and I got some emails from them all later saying that they'd like to come to a compromise, that they realized each other's situations and that they would like to come to a compromise. I'm going to meet with Mr. Miller before the next meeting, where we're going to continue those discussions and see if there might be something in the future that we can look at as a compromise as we get into the electronic hang tags, and that might be a possible solution. So just to let you know that the conversation went well, it's continuing, and I think everybody was satisfied with where we are. On stop signs, Patrick talked about 4-ways. We also talked about some 4-ways on First Avenue, particularly First in Baltimore, First in Wilmington. You can picture those corners, and you know why we had those conversations. And again, we had public comment, both for and against. We had some good input from the chief, thank you, Chief, that made us reconsider. And so rather than bring them to you now as a possibility, we're looking at further discussions and making sure that we don't have any consequences that we will regret later. So that will be on a future topic, but it will be continued at the next meeting. Several other minor items involving oversized vehicles, we've decided just to hand over to Mr. Tedder, and the committee thought that was the best thing to do, is do it in-house and not necessarily bring any changes to the commission. And lastly, today on the bollards, you know, the longer they last, the better they look. That's sort of what we're getting from people, like, all right, we're used to them now. So I'm not sure. We have asked the design committee at Main Street to look at them for us, but the interest in designing them has seemed to wane as they have become more commonplace. So more on that later, perhaps. But that's my report for today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any comments up here? With that, I'd like to go to the members of the public. This is your opportunity to comment on this particular topic, which would be relating to topics brought up by the Streets and Safety Committee. Anybody? If not, good job. Thank you, Mark. With that, the next on the agenda is community partner reports. They are all embedded in the agenda, so we don't need to go over that.
Mayor, if I may, not to go over it, but just a question.
Commissioner Gossett, yes.
Thank you. On the Chamber of Commerce report, is included in there, thank you very much, that it seems that we have an increase in occupancy from last year to this year on the outlined dates. But also, have you included the beach bandstand performance schedule change survey? So I'm just curious as if that will be on a future agenda in the near future, so that can be discussed and reviewed, so we can prepare for next season.
The answer is yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
heard it here
Thank you for
first.
bringing that up, because that took a lot of effort, the survey, and again, it is embedded electronically in the agenda. And while Dan from Main Street's here and Kate's from here, I want to thank you all, because I know it's time-consuming to put these reports together, but we don't want you to think that we just barely gloss over them, you know, that they are there and available to the public. So thank you very much. With that, the next item of business is actually new business. A, discuss and possible consideration awarding a contract to Mumford and Miller Concrete for the annual street paving and water main replacement project. Henry? I was giving the people a little more time to show up, so I'm gonna, we'll do that by here. No, it's not. Henry, go
Afternoon,
ahead.
Mayor and Commissioners. So I'm here to present, as you said, the FY27 annual street paving and water main replacement project. I have a copy of the bid evaluations. We'll go over the area, the work to be done, answer any questions, and then request a motion for approval. We had 10 contractors ask for the bid package when it was advertised, and 4 chose to bid. We actually had the same 4 as last year, and if you take a look at the engineering estimate, it's in between, right in the middle of the bids, which is a good thing. Mumford and Miller was the lowest responsible and responsive bidder for the 3rd year in a row. So, you know, they've been great to work with the last 2 years. Their change orders have been minimal. They've been responsive with things. Example, Commissioner Gassa, I remember last year you asked me to get a sidewalk taken care of quickly, and it put them out a bit. They obviously got paid for it, but they did take care of that right away for us. So here's the areas to be worked on. It's the green shaded area. It's Kent Street between 3rd and 4th. It's going to be water main replacement, service lines, as well as the paving, obviously. Sussex between 3rd and 4th, it's the same with the water main replacement. And Sussex between 4th and 5th, it's the service lines and the paving. And then if you see on the bottom across Silver Lake, Silver Lane is on that. That kind of came as an afterthought, where I received a couple calls from residents about it, went and took a look at it. It was pretty, the paving index score was actually pretty low on it. Thought we'd be under budget on it, which we were, about $200,000 even with that. So we added that, and that'll just be paving and service lines. So here is I'm not going to read all the numbers, but there's the engineer's estimate, $922,000, and then the 2 highest bids were George and Lynch and HEC. Adel was just over $800,000, and Mumford Miller at $724,000. This is the 2nd year in a row HEC has bid for this, and I think for the past 5 years prior, 4 or 5 years prior, it was the 3, Adel, George and Lynch, and Mumford and Miller. Are there any questions?
Any questions of Henry? Nope.
Okay. So what I'm, request board action to award the FY27 street paving and water main replacement project to Mumford and Miller in the amount of $724,388.
There is a proposed motion in the agenda item report, if anybody wants to use that as a template.
Mr. Mayor?
Any,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Galante?
I was just going to go ahead and make the motion, but I'm not sure if you wanted to take it back and open it for comments.
No, does anybody have any
I think,
Comments before a motion's made?
just to confirm, in past years when we've been doing this, we've also reached out to the homeowners along those streets for additional repair of their laterals and what have you. That be the case again?
Yes, I have letters ready to go. Assuming it gets approved, I'll send them out Monday. There isn't any sidewalks in that area. We will be doing some curb replacement on that. And there are several laterals. We will be also, about 10 or so suspect laterals on those three streets, and we will be sending letters to those homeowners. Last year, we actually had quite a few take advantage of that on Munson, which was great.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Galante?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to award the bid for fiscal year 2027 annual street paving and water main replacement to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, Mumford and Miller, Inc., in the amount of $724,388.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to award the bid for annual street paving fiscal year 2027 to Mumford and Miller as noted. Is there any further discussion? Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment? If not, we'll come back to the table. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Henry.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move into new business item B, discuss impossible consideration of an agreement between the City of Rehoboth Beach and IQ Fiber for the installation of a fiber optic broadband network in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. So I wanted to provide a little bit of background about how IQ Fiber has came to us, and then Lisa will provide some information, and then the folks from IQ Fiber are here, and they'll give you a presentation. So the governor's office reached out to me several months ago because IQ Fiber was added by Governor Meyer's Jobs First Permitting Accelerator on June 11th, 2026. And so that was established via Executive Order 18, and the Permitting Accelerator coordinates and expedites state agency review of high-priority housing, energy, broadband, and water sewer projects through a single point of contact and parallel review. So they're part of that program with Governor Meyer, and ultimately they are looking to increase the high speed and high reliability of fiber in Sussex County, including Rehoboth Beach. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, as Taylor points out, IQ Fiber came to us through the governor's office, and we've worked with them to negotiate the contract that you have in front of you. The way we have approached this is that IQ Fiber is now working with about 15 to 20 different municipalities, and so we took this contract and looked at it from the perspective of what is rights of way that are controlled by the city of Rehoboth versus those that are controlled by the state of Delaware. At present, IQ Fiber has the authority to go into state rights of way, which includes roads in the city of Rehoboth, and so we looked at it from the perspective of protecting our rights of way and what we could do to best make sure that we were protecting what we could from the city. This is a contract that has been negotiated with both parties, and we're presenting it to you today for your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Mark, would you like to continue?
I would. Hey,
Could you introduce yourself? If you
thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Mark Wagner. I'm Vice President for New Markets for IQ Fiber. I'm joined today by our Director of Operations, David Inslee. David Inslee runs the entire construction operation for what we call the Chesapeake region, which includes our Delaware projects. So he's here to answer questions specifically towards construction and construction methodology. Again, we're IQ Fiber. We are a high-speed fiber optic broadband network. We build and operate the network, and we are currently located in 5 states, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, Maryland, and Delaware. when we look for a new market, we look to be what we call first fiber, which means we look for markets where there is not currently a fiber optic provider. In this area, most of us would recognize, for instance, like a Verizon Fios, maybe specifically to Lewis, Glow Fiber. These are companies that do something similar to what we do. We don't have any interest in overbuilding them. What we look for, and what is illustrated in this image above, are cable areas that have predominantly cable infrastructure that is fairly dated, and we see that through the use of upload speeds, because that's where cable traditionally shows a big difference in performance than with a full fiber optic network, which gives the same speeds up and down. We call that symmetrical speed. So what that image is showing is upload speeds from Delaware, a lot of Sussex County, and you can see the lower sort of the greens and the blues, and that represents slower upload speeds. So that's one of the things that we look at when we target new markets, and we definitely see that here in Sussex County. So we're excited to help give these people an option and symmetrical speeds. So I think everybody understands it, but fiber optics is speed. It is broadband at the speed of light. We operate on lasers. It does provide symmetrical speeds. Symmetrical speeds have become very, very important in our lives. Those are the speeds that give us the reliability when we're doing things like Teams meetings where we're working at home. 40% of us now work full or part-time at home. These are your medical devices. These are your connection from your business or your premise to the internet. So those upload speeds are very important. They're increasing at least 18% last year and probably more this year. So our network, our fully fiber network, will provide symmetrical speeds. Our research shows us that a fiber connection to a premise can have a positive increase in equity value, maybe even up to 3.1%. Our story here in Delaware is a good one. As was mentioned, we were the initial company that made it through the priority permitting system. Governor Meyer's Executive Order 18. We are the initial company. We had a kickoff with the governor 2 months ago, and a roundtable and a press event. And we are very committed to this process. We are very committed to Delaware. Our investment in Delaware is between $150 and $160 million. We're going to be building 4,000 miles of brand new fiber optic network, probably 2/3 of which right here in Sussex County. If there is a community of note in Sussex County, we're having a similar conversation with them at the moment, from Seaford all the way here, all the way down to the Maryland border. So it's a big, comprehensive project. We're extremely excited to be aligned with the governor and his priorities in terms of bringing this type of infrastructure and all of the economic benefits that come with it. Dave, I think I'll just start that this is a cabinet. This is an active cabinet. When we build our network, fiber optics is mostly a passive medium for transporting internet, but there is some electric in it. So this is a big difference with cable, which is largely a giant metal antenna with a lot of electric and repeaters everywhere in it, which means when you have a power failure anywhere in your cable system, you have a power failure and everything's down. In our system, we have a cabinet like that we're showing right there. That'll service approximately 5,000 customers. And you can see that is powered. That will have a generator and battery backup. That feeds passive cabinets, meaning no power, and those can handle 200 to 500 customers. And then the equipment in the home needs to be plugged in. So from that cabinet to your home, it's a passive network. And Dave, do you want to talk a bit about it?
Yeah, hello, everybody. So our construction process typically begins with obtaining all the necessary permits from the controlling municipality, whether it's DelDOT or, in this case, the city of Rehoboth. Once we obtain those permits, our pre-construction process will begin with our crews will deploy pre-construction door hangers to notify the residents that we're passing of the construction process. It also supplies a direct link to us for direct communication for any questions or concerns, before the construction process or during the construction process as well. So they can reach us directly. We have a dedicated construction coordinator on site that will meet with anybody that has any questions or concerns, address their concerns directly during the process or in front of the process as well. Also, a part of that pre-construction process is we will enter all misutility notifications. Once those tickets are complete, we'll review them, make sure that everything's set and ready for our crews to deploy at that point. The next step would be the actual construction process. So first step in the construction process will be test pitting. Oh, I'm sorry, here's a screenshot of the pre-construction door hangers as I just described. You can see it has a QR code that would provide that direct communication back to us. I think in a lot of instances it goes straight to our construction coordinator that's local to the location, and then come right out and meet with the resident in that regard. Here's more information on the actual construction process as I described. Pre-construction process, door hangers, misutility call-outs. Once those are complete, our crews will begin the process with performing test pitting on the existing utilities so that they're protected during our installation methods. We try to be underground as much as possible because it protects our infrastructure much better than being on aerial pole lines. So before we can do that, we need to test pit, protect the existing utilities. That way, when we install our conduit system, which our installation method is with a directional bore or pneumatic missile, that'll be subgrade. We don't open cut, we don't open trench, so the impact to the soft surface is minimized as much as possible. There are certainly a lot of areas within the city that there is no soft space where we have to utilize aerial infrastructure where those locations are necessary. So during that process with the crew placing the conduit underground, we move at approximately a pace of a couple hundred feet to even a couple thousand feet per day. It kind of depends on the cleared misutility tickets and the amount of utilities that are underground that we need to protect from the process. During that process, we'll install our conduits and our flush grade vaults. Mark described one above grade cabinet that will service pretty much this entire area. So as far as any above ground infrastructure, you really won't see that. Everything's essentially flush to the ground. You'll see a very small, we call them handholds, but they're a small lid for us to access to be able to terminate and provide service to any customer that requests service at that time. And you'll see there's approximately like every other house in the areas where we can perform soft space installation. So within those couple thousand feet a day, the crew moves pretty fast. We'll install the conduit, install the handholds, we'll move on. So the impact on a daily perspective is moving very quickly from street to street very quickly. So you won't see, you shouldn't see repeated disturbance on a specific street or specific area in multiple days. It's usually one day, move on in a very successive manner. Once that underground infrastructure is in place, the conduit and handhold infrastructure is in place, the next step is to pull the fiber cable through those conduit systems. That usually takes about a day or so. Then once the cable is in place, we test it, verify it's sufficient for service deployment, and then we'll be able to release that for order taking and service installation for subscribers at that point. Is that it?
I'll take it from
Thank you.
there. So a couple things that distinguishes IQ Fiber, and one in particular, we know that we're the only company in our industry at our size and scale that runs our very own customer contact center. That means that when you call IQ Fiber with an issue with construction or a question about your service, you're experiencing any kind of issue, a human being will answer the phone, and that human being exists today in our headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida. And our average call to answer time is 19 seconds. You can also contact by text, but same thing. It's not you're not having an AI experience anywhere in the mix. It's a real honest to God human being. We do embed AI in the mix, but that only gets involved because it'll allow the person that you're talking to know who they're talking to, where you're located, and if our equipment has noticed any issues. All of that will be on their pane of glass. So we do know that is an expensive way to do business, to run a call center, but the thing that we have decided from day one, and yesterday was our 5-year anniversary, was that we were going to be the anti-cable company, and from day one till day now, that commitment is held, and obviously we have proven that and by doing that, we now have one of the highest customer service ratings in the industry. That's done by, there's a Net Promoter Score, which in our industry, we have about an 80, that's very, very good. And for Google, we ask for reviews on Google, and they're 4.8 to 5.0. So we're very proud of that. We work for that every single day. Again, this is back to Dave, and this is I'll just emphasize that, as Dave said, we're in and out as quickly as possible. What we disturbed, we will fix. It will be as good as before we came. If it isn't, then we invite you to call us and we will fix it. And it's an opportunity for us, again, to prove that we will listen, that we do communicate. We need to earn every bit of business that we have. It starts with the construction process. If we make enemies, we're not going to make customers, right? So you have my commitment here, you have Dave's commitment that we will work with the community to make sure that we leave things as good as we found them. I think I went through all of this. I started with the contact center. The last thing I'd like you guys to know about what makes us different. We don't have any contracts. We have transparent pricing, so what you see is what you get. It will be one price. It does include everything, and that includes the Wi-Fi equipment. There is no rental, and the Wi-Fi equipment that we use is state-of-the-art Wi-Fi 7. It does match with our highest speeds. What we will build day one to the residents in Rehoboth will be up to 10 gig capacity. We only have a package up to 5 gigs. That's because Wi-Fi doesn't support anything more than 5 gigs. But when it does, we'll offer a 10 gig package as well to our customers. So it's contract free, and you just pay for it month to month. If you don't like us, if we haven't earned your business, then that's it. These are our prices today, from $65 to $125 for 5 gigs of bandwidth, which is an enormous amount of bandwidth, but it's real. That is the capacity that you'll have in your house. We do businesses. These are what we call our small business prices. These would be, sort of your what you see along here on your mom and pop businesses. We also do, and we support much larger businesses and have various products for those, DIA and others. But for purposes of your typical business here in Rehoboth, that's what we would charge. We've talked about the Delaware story. Our main backer is STC Capital. They are an infrastructure fund, one of the largest in the country. All they fund is infrastructure, and we're one of, I think, 3 platforms, and we're one of their largest platforms. Our banking partners, JP Morgan Chase. All of the money for this project in all of Delaware has already been booked. And that's it. Any questions?
I believe I heard you indicate that some of the lines might be aerial and some underground. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that'd be accurate. Where there's not sufficient soft surface space for us to install within the approved right-of-way, we may need to utilize aerial infrastructure to service those customers along those roads.
I just want to share, I guess, with the city manager primarily, my ideal would be that there is no aerial lines, that they're all put underground. And also, my ideal would be an MOU or some kind of clause that indicates that if in the future we do underground any utilities, particularly in the commercial area or something, that they need to relocate, put them underground at their own expense. So I don't know if that fits in there, but I'm trying to be anticipatory into the future and make sure that we accommodate ourselves in first place. Is there anybody else? Commissioner Stewart?
I have a couple questions and a comment, and I have a question for the solicitor, but thank you, and you seem like nice gentlemen. You know, we had a little hiccup where your crew started on a city street. It happens to be my street, and a woman found her right-of-way being dug up. So I guess that was a little bit of a, you know, it was something we didn't ask for, we were getting, and is it correct that the only digging will be in the right-of-way?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Unless we obtain a right of entry from that specific property owner, yeah,
Okay.
we would only stay within the permissible right of way.
And the handheld is only when they subscribe to the service
The handholds are a part of the permanent infrastructure.
in the right-of-way?
Within the right of way, correct.
Okay.
They're set in a way that any specific resident who subscribes, we would not need to traverse another neighbor's property to access them.
Okay, and then, I guess lastly, just for context, we as a city don't have a right to say we don't want this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
The only thing we can do is govern how it is they exist.
Commissioner Galati, and then Commissioner Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions for you guys. First of all, can you tell us where the hub cabinet location will be?
I have to look at the engineering to pinpoint that exactly for you, but I can get you that information.
It looks like it's a relatively large structure.
It's approximately,
Yeah.
like a bit of a smaller, medium-sized.
I'm sure most of our
refrigerator.
city residents wouldn't be too happy if it appeared in front of their house.
Yeah, it would likely be within a dealt-out right-of-way location, outside of the residential area, certainly.
That's my point.
Yeah,
And my
yeah,
hope
yeah.
is that it would be in a
Yeah, you
commercial
should-
district and somewhere that it's not going to be a nuisance for neighbors.
Yeah, we typically place it more in like a high-traffic area.
Okay.
But we can get that specific information for you if you like.
Thank you. I would like that.
Absolutely.
And appreciate that. And then the second question that I have is, how many passive cabinets are there going to be, and what are the locations of those?
Same thing, like one passive cabinet typically services approximately 700 to 800 homes. I think Mark was a little bit short on the number there. So once again, that's a pretty dense area. So you won't see them a lot of places, and those are much smaller. They're kind of like, I think they're about maybe 3 foot high, by like 2 foot wide.
But those will be in the residential district.
They would probably be somewhere located within those, more centralized to those areas, within the 700 home groupings, correct?
I'd appreciate getting the locations of those
Absolutely.
as well.
Yep, we'll get you those.
Great. Next question is, what is the trench depth for the wire?
We typically go between 2 to 3 foot deep. Usually it's dictated by the permitting entity, whether it's DelDOT or the city itself. A lot of public works teams like us to be just above the water and sewer infrastructure.
Yeah.
So they like us to live somewhere between that 2 foot range, give or take, depending on how the services are run to the houses at that point.
So we recently went through an experience with power line cutting by the power company, and a lot of our tree canopy was negatively impacted. So I'm just concerned about the roots in the trees, and it would be, who do you contract the work out, or is it IQ Fiber that's actually doing the installation?
We have contractors that do the work for us
Contractors,
under our direct
okay.
supervision.
Yeah, it would be helpful for us to be able to have an opportunity to communicate with them to make sure that the impact to our trees, as well as things that are in the public right-of-way. We have neighbors in this community, particularly in North Rehoboth, where they've probably done quite a bit of landscaping that is in the public right-of-way. So my point is, I would like to minimize the impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next question that I have is about and this is maybe more for the city manager and for the city, on the communication that I saw the door hangers part of your presentation, But I feel like we need to do something ourselves, either in lines of the sand or something to give neighbors a heads up. I'm just trying to be proactive here because it's going to come back to us, right? We're going to have to be triaging a lot of commentary and feedback. And if we're proactive in making sure that our residents know that this is coming and not just waiting for a door hanger, that they may or may not see because we have a lot of part-time residents. I really encourage us to be smart with our communications department and forward-leaning so that people know.
Yeah, I'm sure our communications division can definitely work with IQ Fiber's communications team and get information out as, they're working on certain streets for sure.
Thank you.
Can so just because this has come up before, and I should have probably mentioned that we do have a community relations team whose job is specifically that. And so we would love to be proactive. Here's some things we've done in the past. We've done kickoff events. We've hosted town halls. We enjoy those. We'll fund them. We'll make them an event that hopefully people want to come to, all in the with the goal of making sure that these inquiries come to us, because ultimately that's where they're going to need to be addressed. So we do want to have as many relationships at that people level, and so yes, we will work with this team to make sure that we're doing that. We will work with a communications cadence that makes sense. Dave and his team have weekly meetings with various communities today to talk about this thing, either at the Department of Transportation level or Public Works level or town manager level, whatever you guys would prefer, we would prefer as well, that we have very open, very robust communication from here until whenever.
It's good to hear that, knowing our residents, I'm sure they're going to be reaching out directly to our city government. So having that cadence of communication set up between our two teams and the coordination, I think, is critical. And I'm seeing heads nodding. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Saunders
Yes,
and then
to
Commissioner.
be clear, there will be no new poles, is that correct? You'll use existing poles
Yes,
in every
correct.
case?
Yeah, we're not, we would only utilize existing pole line infrastructure if need be. Like, we certainly prefer to be underground. Like I said, it's much more
Right.
protected.
Well,
We're
we're
not relying
aiming
on
to
new
going
infrastructure.
underground completely at some time in the future. So
Yeah.
you would
If
want
that
to do
happens, especially the pole owners, be it, I'm not sure if it's.
And explain to me, please, and I'm ignorant on this, can you tell me how you get from your wire in the street to my house? You go,
It would be, depending on if it's underground or aerial, we would install an underground, a direct buried fiber optic drop cable from our termination point, which should be in front of your house or between you and your neighbor, directly to the termination point on the side of your house. They would place that either utilizing a vibratory plow, which is kind of like more of a heavier unit, or they would actually use a spade shovel, as we kind of call it, to knife it in at about 10 inches deep.
and then do I need to buy any special equipment for it to work inside my house?
We supply everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Good?
Thank you for the presentation. I need to understand your business model a little better, just because I'm looking, I'll just be honest, we have been Comcast customers here for many, many years, and we're long-term customers. And with the exception of the several snowstorms, and then one instance when a FedEx box truck hit a Comcast, I believe, aerial cable, which knocked out internet for about 5 hours. It's generally been reliable, but we are paying, well, our sort of rack rate is $59.99 a month for extremely, fairly fast internet, and we put a lot of demands on the internet. We work from home. Anyway, but because we agreed to auto debit some years ago, we actually are paying $49.99 a month. And I'm just wondering, you show rates beginning at $65 a month for a residential customer. In addition, I know you supply all equipment, but we purchased equipment for about $30 full stop, I think 5 or more years ago. So I'm curious as to whether those, launch rates are working for you in other markets, because of what I see, Comcast and Verizon tends to match Comcast in areas where you have both Comcast and Verizon, as you've probably noticed. But a little duopoly going on there. And I believe there's a third player, Cox Communication. I have friends to the west in Millsboro who also have the option. So if you'd kindly explain how this pricing structure is going to appeal to enough residents in this city, or do you have some possibility of lowering your rates to more like $50 a month for for the starting the initial or the sort of basic package?
Yeah, so I'll start with this. Our business, we have shown in every single market we've ever been to, we have the situation where there's always an incumbent cable company, and there's always competitive pricing. What we have found that within about 24 months, we'll end up with 40% of the customers. Here's why. Again, we provide a different type of service, symmetrical bandwidth, and what we provide is it's priced differently because it is different, fundamentally. People realize that when you take out all the hidden fees, the things that you don't have to pay for with us. For instance, your equipment experience 5 years ago is I think, Commissioner Good, you would find is much different if you go to Best Buy today and look at, for instance, the Wi-Fi unit that we'll put in your home. It's north of $800. So it's a big uplift in equipment because we're doing much more horsepower, 5 gigs through the air. And if we need a repeater, for instance, if you have a larger house with many walls, we're going to walk around our technician before they leave, and they're going to make sure that throughput is seen throughout your residence. And if we need to, we'll put a repeater, again, at our expense. So we do those sorts of things that earn us customers. We're not looking to be the lowest cost. I think the ultimate for your community and all communities really is choice, because at the end of the day, that's going to, if at the end of the day, in order to get the numbers that we need, I guess we will lower our prices. We haven't had to yet, but maybe we will. But that will be because of competition. That's because there'll be, us giving it our best effort, Comcast. And so, yeah, that's our business plan. It's been working. Our funders like it. Our success has been decent to really good. And we fully expect to do very well in Rehoboth as a potential alternative.
So just to follow up, so your market penetration in places like South Carolina, what percentage of the market have you captured within like 5 years?
Within 24 months, we're expected to capture between 35 and 40%, and we've been tracking to that. Some of our initial cabinets that have been in longer are approaching 60% penetration and more.
But you haven't been in any markets for 24 continuous months
Oh,
yet?
yeah, we have. All of those markets are in Florida. Those were our initial markets. We haven't been in South Carolina. South Carolina is less than 2 years old, right?
Oh, let's focus on Florida then. Like, what's your market share in Florida after, say, 24 months?
I was just on a board meeting 2 days ago, and the average penetration is around 50%. So.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yeah.
You?
Commissioner Stewart?
I have one quick question, because our street was all marked up for this. The lines that go on my lawn, the big red line that's been painted on my lawn, is not in the right-of-way? Is that just telling somebody something? You're not intending, you told me you're not going to dig on my lawn.
Yeah.
But I think this would help, because people haven't had the experiences. We've got green lines, we've got yellow lines, we've got red lines. I've got a manhole cover in my right-of-way that you've now painted bright blue. Thank you. So that probably saves some time if you tell us what these all mean to us.
Yeah, so if you're seeing color lines out there after those are the existing infrastructure lines, so red being power.
Okay.
And a lot of those infrastructures were put in place like your power and your Verizon typically. Usually those are the two big things that were installed probably when your development was done many, many years ago. So they were probably put in a public utility right away. Which a lot of times falls outside of the municipal right-of-way.
Right.
So they might be a little bit further in your yard at that point. We'll be installing within the permissible right-of-way at that point. But if you're seeing color,
what I think of as the right-of-way, not the utility right-of-way that's in my yard. Is that what you're
correct,
saying?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, if you're seeing colored lines, that's existing infrastructure.
Okay.
When we do our pre-construction preparations, you might see us, we call it white lining. So white paint is proposed. But if it's colored, that's existing. So your blue is your water, yellow is going to be your gas. The two big ones that we try to really protect, obviously, is the power and the gas.
That'd be good.
Because those are the dangerous ones. But, everything we will protect and test pit and make sure that they don't get damaged during our installation process.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gossett?
Yes, thank you. Are you currently operating in any other Delaware municipalities?
Yes. So we are in Millsboro, right? We've begun in Mills.
Not yet.
Well, we're beginning construction in Millsboro.
Any active where you have
Yeah.
customers online?
Yeah, so we started in South Dover. Those are, they're not towns like Rehoboth, but they're communities like Magnolia and Highland Acres. And so, yes, we've had lit customers there since, what, April?
Yes.
Yeah, since
I
April.
think we're up to 400 customers.
Less than a year.
Yeah, months, and we're up to 400.
And you mentioned also that installation will be done by subcontractors?
Yes, that we directly supervise.
Okay. And building, prices look interesting, whatever, but with like Comcast, which I'm used to, there's additional for telephone and TV and streaming and that. Are these all add-on aspects to these baseline prices?
We do. We only provide internet. So if you're going to
So there's no TV, no?
No, if you're going to, if you choose to go with us and you have an existing over-the-top streaming process, our technicians will go through before they leave. They'll make sure that that's all working on the new system. But no, we don't have any television projects. We don't have any like typical cable products. We don't do telephone. All we do is what we do. And why we do that is because we don't want to partner with a company that maybe doesn't have the commitment to the customer service that we do. And if we did that and in there it was suboptimal, then it's going to affect all of us. So we stick to what we do and what we know, what we build and what we operate.
And I guess question, is this for the solicitor or city manager, is this an exclusive agreement that we're signing?
No. If you look at the contract, it says that we have the right to contract with anyone else as well.
Right, but also I just questioned how we came to the terms under 2.2, that's a 15-year contract and then an automatic renewal of 15 years. And is that typical for what you're negotiating with the rest of the Delaware, or do we know, or how did we arrive at those 15 and 15?
It's my understanding that we are atypical. They had requested 30 years, and we felt that that was far too long. So we only agreed to 15 years.
And Commissioner, just one thing on the phone and TV aspect. So I know a lot of people like landlines and TV. So there are products out there that residents could get if they did decide to do this, like a VoIP phone, and then there are cable
So they would be
streaming.
add-on costs,
They would just have to do that themselves, yeah.
as we are all technically acknowledge of how to do that. And I'm just curious, also in our code, we have a fee for utility poles and cables of $5. And I know we're going to update fees and codes in the future, but just curious, is that defined as $5 one time over, or $5 for every cable, or do we know any details on that? And we haven't done this in many, many years, but if it's $5 total, I think we need to reinvestigate that. That's the fee charged to the supplier.
Fair enough.
All right. If we go back to the agenda item report, the action that they're trying to get out of us today is the proposed motion is to approve agreement for the installation of a fiber optic broadband network between the City of Rehoboth Beach and IQ Fiber. Let's take a quick break and go to the members of the public. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to say? Nancy and then Deb? And we'll come back to this table before we vote.
Thank you, Chief. Two things, just both on aesthetics. That bigger box that serves 700 or 800 people, I wonder if it has a geological radius, because we're diffuse, we're spread out, we're not a dense population. So if you see 700 or 800, you think, well, most would have two of those in town. but can we check on that? Is it, if they have to be within a certain radius, we might need more of those boxes. And we wouldn't want a bunch of them there because we really care about aesthetics. So that would be my first point. And my second point is I do understand that the handhold would be flush to the ground. For those of us who have little strips of land between the sidewalk and the street that we're required to mow, but still may be with the city, could the handhold go there, or where would the handhold go? Does anyone know?
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, once again, I mean, I'd have to check the specific engineering for the location you're describing. Like I said, we have to install within the permissible right-of-way. If that's our location within there, then yeah, it would go within, I always call that the beauty strip, which is technically between the curb and the sidewalk. If that's not a sufficient spacing and there's right-of-way on the backside of the sidewalk, that's where we would install the flush grade handhold. And as far as for the your first inquiry about the large cabinet that was in the picture, that services 5,000 customers. So there's only one within all of Rehoboth that would be that the smaller ones that would service approximately 700 plus houses. They're, like I said, about 2 by 3, and they were located. Usually we put them like maybe like a corner or an infrastructure, somewhere that's as inconspicuous as possible. But you would see them, like I said, geologic, like you said, within a radius of that. There's customers there. So disperses accurately.
Thank you. Deb? Identify yourself. Thank you.
My name is Deb Ward. I'm a resident at 339 Hickman Street. I am also a former Verizon Fios employee. So a couple questions because I'm familiar with that. One thing that we always talked about, at least at Verizon, is the benefit that we were providing with the Fios fiber cable is that it's fiber to the home versus sharing bandwidth. And I can speak, I'm glad you get great Comcast service, because I can tell you that's why I'm gray, pretty much. I notice a change in service as our city population expands during the summer, because now you got more people that are using that service, and now you don't have as much bandwidth. So just to confirm, we would have fiber to the home, and it's not shared bandwidth, correct?
Yeah, confirming that. Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, what your experience is in an overloaded cable node, as you know from your experience at Fios, yes, it is fiber to the home. We build right now, our minimum backbone speed is 100 gigabits, and that's drilled 2 different directions to Equinix and then a data center in Baltimore, and then it's 10 gig capacity to the home, but 100 gig, right on the laterals. So yeah, we build, and then we monitor that very quickly in the industry. Usually, like, they active, as you know, like if it gets over 60% utilization, we're way below that. So we will just add capacity to make sure that we always want to be able to brag about the capacity that we're able to give our customers.
And then if I may follow up, so again, back in those days when Verizon was looking to expand Fios, this was not seen as a desirable area because of the influx of population. So I just want to confirm, because of what the governor is initiating, that's what's really kind of bringing you to us to say, as all of Delaware, we want to make this available. And Rehoboth is just one area that we also think is going to benefit.
Yeah, in part, yes. The governor. So Delaware, I will say, in all honesty, has been extremely good to work with, and was a factor in okaying this immense amount of money that we're spending. Yes, been in the industry long enough to know. I remember those days. Yes, when you were looking for contracts and you were doing different things. It's even, our ROI is dependent on our customer service. We don't even have contracts. So yeah, we're making a big commitment to Delaware. We understand that some of the costs of doing business here there are a lot of HOA communities. There are a lot of smaller communities. There are a lot of these conversations that need to be had. So we had to, in terms of not only just the money, but the resources to commit to the entire project, because that's really what it's going to take.
Don't underestimate the impact of the cost of what building this infrastructure is. Maybe two more questions. So for the equipment, I know we had a box on the outside of the house, kind of similar, a little bit bigger than what you may have now with a Comcast box. Is there something on the outside of the house as well as on the inside?
Yeah, we'll typically place a needle on the exterior of the home. I think Verizon Fire's a lot of times used an active box on the exterior that they transition to Ethernet into the home. We don't. We just use a very small passive demarc NID on the outside.
NID.
So it transitions from our exterior drop cable to the interior drop line that goes into your home to your router and switch.
And then,
But it's very small. It's like probably like that big. Like it's extremely small and inconspicuous.
and then again, with the technology, the router, as time goes on, the technology improves. You're offering this equipment as part of the contract price.
Correct.
Does that also include down the road upgrades to equipment if necessary?
Yeah, it is, and there's no contract. That just, we own and maintain that. We do the firmware upgrades remotely, and then we're always looking for opportunities to upgrade the speed. As I said, we want to match as soon as possible from 5 to 10 and get into that. So yeah, we will monitor that and upgrade. We would just send it. That's a plug and play that the customer can do.
And does that equipment box that's in the home have a battery backup?
It doesn't, but
Okay.
it can live on your less expensive battery backup because it doesn't draw that much electricity. So even a smaller battery backup would run it probably 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Deb.
Will we get an idea of timing of when this is happening?
Of course, yes.
Yes, but we can't do anything until the contract is approved, which is why we're waiting to see.
Anybody else? We'll bring it back up here. Taylor, do you want to, or Lisa, do you want to say anything further?
No.
Okay. So again, the motion, the agreement is a support document. Commissioner Stewart, you had
I was going to
something else
move.
you wanted to say?
No.
I had another question, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Good?
So I'm worried about jumping into this until we have a better idea of comparable options. My issue is that, I'm looking at your pricing, and it seems to be the older business model of Comcast and Verizon, where people would rent equipment through Comcast and Verizon each month, and everyone wanted to get away from that because the net cost, the monthly cost, kept rising because the rental and then, the federal taxes. So whereas, you are giving this all-inclusive price that includes the equipment, includes, eventually you're saying, state-of-the-art equipment upgrades. I'm nervous about that pricing model because it's a little bit outdated now in terms of what the big players in this market, Verizon and Comcast, have been using for probably almost a decade now. So I'm not I think rushing into this today would be premature, but others obviously have, different opinions.
Thank you, Suzanne. Susan?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement for the installation of a fiber optic broadband network between the City of Rehoboth and IQ Fiber LLC.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agreement herein for the installation of a fiber optic broadband network between City of Rehoboth Beach and IQ Fiber LLC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Mayor, I abstain. I don't feel as if we have enough information to make an informed decision on this. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll abstain as well.
So and the record will show that all the commissioners voted yes, but for Commissioner Gossett and Commissioner Good, who abstained. Very good, gentlemen. Thank you for coming here today. No, I'm going to do the proclamation now. Well, would you like to join? Yes, thank you. I'm going to do this next. You're not gonna come?
You're good.
Up here, okay. My group is supposed to come here to represent the ovarian cancer survivors, and I don't know where they are. They're stuck on Highway Route 1. So I've asked the mayor-elect, Susan Stewart, to join me today. This is a proclamation for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, September 2026. Whereas ovarian cancer is the deadliest of all female reproductive system cancers, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that in 2026, over 21,010 women will be newly diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And whereas in 2025, it is estimated that approximately 12,450 women will die in the United States from ovarian cancer. Many women are not diagnosed until the disease has begun to spread. But if the disease is detected at its earliest state, stage 1, the 5-year survival rate is more than 92%. The symptoms of ovarian cancer are often subtle and easily confused with other ailments. And whereas 1 in 91 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer during their lifetime, and whereas during Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, we honor the loved ones we have lost to this disease and all those who battle it today. And we continue our work to improve care and raise awareness about ovarian cancer. And whereas that is why it is important for all women to pay attention to their bodies and know what is normal for them. Women who experience unexplained changes, including abdominal pain, pressure, and swelling, should talk with their healthcare providers. And whereas ovarian cancer and the hardship it brings have affected too many lives, this September we stand with everyone who has been touched by this disease, and we recognize all those committed to advancing the fight against the cancer through research, advocacy, and quality care. And now therefore we, Mayor Stan Mills, Board Vice President Patrick Gossett, and President-elect Mayor, Mayor Susan Stewart, hereby proclaim September 2026 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Together, let us renew our commitment to reducing the impact of ovarian cancer and to a future free from cancer in all forms. Proclaim this 21st day of August 2026. Stan Mills and Patrick Gossett. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me up here. Thank you.
We lost the presiding officer.
I think you're in charge for the moment.
President can do it.
All right, Mr. Tedder, if you'd like to begin your report.
Thank you. This item's the review and discuss the request for information submissions received for our potential master planning initiative. As you know, earlier this year, the city released a request for information looking for master planning services. And so the RFI really is an information gathering session. So for those of you that have looked at the packet, I included the actual RFI itself that the city authored and sent out to over 24 planning firms. And then we received 4 responses, one from Dover Cole and Partners, one from Rossi Group, Tool Design, and Wallace Montgomery. And then I also included the zoning code update presentation that Dover Cole did for the city not too long ago. So ultimately, really what we're looking for is to try to come up with a scope of work. And after the charrette week and the work that Dover Cole has done so far, staff's recommendation is to move forward with Dover Coal. What I'd like to do is have the Board of Commissioners authorize me to go back to Dover Coal and try to come up with a scope of work for us with a specific price, because the pricing really can vary depending on what components are in the actual master planning efforts. The city's never had an economic development analysis performed on our commercial corridor, but we've had a lot of other studies done, such as parking and transportation, and those are they've already been reviewed and used by Dover Coal, so those are things that we wouldn't need to do again. So ultimately, in speaking with Joe Cole, it does sound like we could land in the 200 to 300 range, under 300,000, which we did budget for planning services in the budget. But ultimately, if you do authorize me to go back to Dover Coal and ask for a formalized scope of work to really show all of the pieces of what this would entail, I would bring that back to you for your approval.
Mr. Tedder, am I correct that
Commissioner Saunders?
I'm sorry. Am I correct that that would dovetail with what Dover Coal is currently doing for us?
Yes, so it would build upon that for a greater vision of what our downtown.
We would not be paying twice for the same product.
Correct.
Very good.
Because right now, they're only focused on our commercial zoning code.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
So those of you, I think all of us here, did see the July 17th presentation, which culminated Dover Coal's spending, I think, 4 working days in the city with the charrettes. And that $150,000 in the end, well, it brought 4 consultants up from Florida, that we had to fund. It had exactly 2 recommendations, one of which seemed, one was to obviate the 2 parking space requirement for new mixed-use properties, which seemed odd because those properties typically do need off-street parking. And the other one was to tweak the 42-foot height maximum if the renovation or the new construction had a more aesthetically superior way to maybe sort of have part of the roof be a little above 42 feet, but most of it comply with the 42 feet, which seemed like maybe a reasonable thing to consider. I felt city staff and citizens would be able to make that decision without a consultant. What concerns me is that a lot of this master planning, it's government spending, which means the taxpayers and the ratepayers here are funding this, which normally the Board of Commissioners were tasked with police, fire, and infrastructure. And all these consultancies end up being a lot of sessions with getting feedback from mostly amateurs, in my view. And it seems redundant with the CDP, which we're mandated to do every 10 years. So I'm very concerned that someone, for some reason, is enamored of Dover Coal in spite of very minimal, underwhelming output from their $150,000 consultancy, which we saw if you watch the July 17th 2 p.m. meeting. See for yourself if that is how we should be spending the public's money. I think not. So I will obviously be voting against the staff recommendation. No surprise, of the 4 contractors is continue with Dover Coal. Yeah, maybe it segues better than the other 3 being, newbies on the block for us. But I'm very concerned about this. I don't know why we need more guidance than other 1.2 square mile towns in Delaware, which rely on the CDP for most of this work.
Thank you, Suzanne. Commissioner Stewart?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have a very distinct and narrow question here, and that is, do we authorize the city manager to go back and get Dover Coal to narrow their scope? Number 1, we have not seen the output yet from the zoning code rewrite. Number 2. Number 3, we derived 63% of our revenue from tourism-related activity, 10.9 from property taxes, and yet 100% of our quality of life issues are this disharmony between the commercial existence and our existence. We have to plan for the future if we want to preserve what we like about the past. And then lastly, I've learned this past summer, in the last month, that the words reimagine Rehoboth are triggering for some people. So can we never say it again and call this something else?
That's why I called it Master Planning Services.
Okay, cool. Thanks. It's off the website, that little,
We'll be changing that.
okay, thank you.
Mayor, please.
Commissioner Saunders?
I just want to respond to Commissioner Good. If you had been there to the charrettes, I think you would have found that we got a lot more than just 2 suggestions for the $157,000. First of all, the $157,000 is for the next 2 years that they will be working on our updates with us.
Mark, address us.
I'm sorry. So at any rate, I don't want the public to be misled into Commissioner Good's comments because they were false.
Mr. Mayor,
No.
I'm aware that not
No,
all
you
of
do
the
not.
work has been effected by Dover Coal under the $157,000.
Suzanne, you do not have the floor.
I would like the floor, please.
Do not have the floor. Chris, did you have something?
Sure. So a couple of things. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I thank you for putting this report together. I really enjoyed the charrettes, and I thought the RFI responses were really helpful to have. To me, the breadth of experience that is outlined in the Dover Coal response is notable. It far surpasses the input from the others. There were interesting ideas in the other responses, and I'm grateful that those companies took the time to put those responses together. A point that I made when we had our meeting in July after the charrettes was that I think doing nothing is a dereliction of duty, and I stand by that comment. I think we have to be intentional in planning for the future, and I think that that's what this work does. So I am excited about it, and I'm supportive.
Mr. Mayor, I need to clarify just
Taylor,
something.
can you reiterate what you're hoping to get out of this
Could I,
conversation
Mr. Mayor,
today?
could I just clarify?
No, you
I
can't.
think when
You
Mr.
can- do
Commissioner
not
Saunders
have the
says I
floor.
wasn't there, I was in Montana until Thursday night, the 16th, on a vacation that
That
had been
qualifies
planned.
as not there.
Yeah, but I mean, you act as though somehow I deliberately wasn't there. I had a planned vacation
Suzanne.
in April, and the charrette dates were announced in May, so I had no ability to be present. I was here for the 2 o'clock meeting on July 17th, though, which was on the calendar.
There's a proposed
Taylor, I asked you a
motion
question.
right on the
Okay.
last page of the agenda item report, directing the city manager to negotiate a scope of work and fee proposal with Dover Coal and Partners for downtown master planning services structured as the next phase of the city's existing engagement with the firm on the zoning code update.
And if we do that and there's a favorable outcome, what is our commitment to them? Are we
There is no
committed to spending
commitment
money?
until I bring that proposal back to you for approval. So I think we can get it done fairly quickly, perhaps as soon as the next meeting. But that's where you would commit. Right now, you're not committing to anything, just directing me to go back to them and get a scope of work.
Okay, so what our motion today would be directing you, but to Dover Coal and excluding the other 3.
Yes, sir, and I don't know if you want to do public comment.
That's next, yes.
Mr.
Public-
Mayor, just one
public
What
comment.
is the rush to do the
Nancy.
second contract, Mr. Tedder?
You do not have
before
the floor.
first contract has.
Hi,
Mayor?
my name is Nancy Doyle, and
Thank
I
you,
live at
Nancy.
202 Country Club Drive. I like the comments of Mark Saunders and also Commissioner Gallanti, and Commissioner Mark Saunders and Commissioner Gallanti, and having attended a lot of the week of charrettes, because it happened to be convenient for my schedule, I know it wasn't for others, there was such broad community support. We really needed to do this. The citizens, the business, people came in skeptical. It's the singular, it's popular thing. I can only think of one person I've ever met who's trying to throw water on this. So it's, you know, we really shouldn't, because I saw a lot of deep community consensus on this, and I was impressed with them, and I was willing not to be. But it's exactly what Chris says. They know a lot. So I'm strongly in favor of this, and I like the idea of saying change, not chance. It's not that we're doing social engineering or autocratically telling people what to do. It's that we're listening to our businesses and residents who are all saying, yes, we need this. And I am certain there is a huge amount of community support behind this project. And I've been in touch with people. I lived through that week. I know it's there. So it's just, I stand on that certainty and I convey it to you.
Thank you, Nancy. Susan, Gay?
Thanks. Susan Gay, Country Club Drive. My comments actually go back a little bit in time. When I was a newly appointed planning commissioner almost 10 years ago, I remember the then chairman, David Mellon, talking frequently about the need for a master plan. In fact, I realize now that there are two others who were with me in that time. Joyce was here, Rick Perry were on the planning commission then as well. And when we started working on the 2020 CDP, we had agenda items on mixed use, and some new projects were starting to come in then. Some of the big new development projects came to us then. And of course, that process got a little changed by the pandemic. This was pre-pandemic, but nevertheless, I want to just quote a couple of things that Chairman Mellon said at the time, because they resonate very much today. He said, "We don't have mixed-use housing in the commercial district conceptually in the way most people would think of mixed-use housing. If the city were to decide that's where we want to go, it will result in a different-looking downtown ultimately. Rather than let that happen haphazardly on a one-off basis, there should be a master plan." Then when asked what's a master plan, he said, this is again Chairman Mellon, not me, "You take a look at the whole downtown area. You take a look at it holistically. What do we want the town to look like in the future? Then you develop a master plan with a concept of how people will use it and where you want to go in the future. We have not done that as a city, unfortunately, and it penalizes each group that comes before us." So I could not be happier, given my experience over the years with the Planning Commission, I could not be happier that we're at that point today, and I feel very positive about it, and I certainly hope we move ahead with it. The other thing I would say, just as a comment about, because I read the Dover Coal, and I expected it to be good because I had been very impressed with the charrettes and how all that transpired. But one of the things that impressed me the most about that was the way they took out the architectural review guide, which had not been looked at in a very long time, and they used that as to inform some of the recommendations they were making and some of the questions they asked. And I would hope, there are other reports, there are parking reports, there are transportation reports, there's some good stuff there. And I have this feeling that Dover Coal will be the one group that will be able to take all of that information and use it for good going forward, and it will not have been a waste. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Anybody else? Michael?
Mike Venanzi, Above the Dunes. I would just like to say, as a business owner for many, many years here in this community, that is one of the first times in the charrettes, and I'm obviously very busy in July and August, still made time to be, I think, at 5 sessions. The first time I've noticed the business community and the residential community coming together and having discussions about one topic. I think it was incredibly beneficial, and I think it's something we need to continue to do, because planning based on just the business needs or planning just on the residents' needs really misses the boat as to what we have to do to grow and move forward. So that's my thought.
If there's nobody else, I'm going to bring it back to the table here. Does there anybody have further discussion or want to make a motion?
Mayor, if I make a motion to direct the city manager to negotiate a scope of work and fee proposal with Dover Coal and Partners for downtown master planning services, structured as the next phase of the city's existing engagement with the firm on the zoning code update.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to direct the city manager to negotiate a scope of work and fee proposal with Dover Coal and Partners for downtown master planning services as noted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No, especially because we're already in the middle of their first contract. This seems premature to me.
We have your, the record will show that 6 commissioners voted yes and 1 voted no. Thank you very much. With that, give us a minute. Is Evan going to sit up here? Okay. I don't know what I did, but you're going to look at Cheats and Eats or whatever it is. The next item on our agenda is discuss and possible consideration of action on confidential report regarding commissioner conduct. Joining us for this agenda topic is Attorney Lisa Hatfield of Connolly Gallagher LLP. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. By way of background, the city, through our Director of Human Resources, received several complaints concerning the conduct of a commissioner directed toward city staff. These complaints were exacerbated during the month of June, and the city retained an independent attorney, Ms. Molly DiBianca, to investigate the matter. Ms. DiBianca and her firm DiBianca Law conducted an independent investigation and prepared a confidential report containing her findings and recommendations. The Personnel Committee, composed of Commissioners Gossett, who is the chair, and Commissioners Thier and Galante, received and reviewed the report and thereafter forwarded the matter for consideration by the mayor and commissioners. Before we proceed, I want to explain the process the board will follow. The independent investigative report concerns the conduct of Commissioner Suzanne Good. Because Commissioner Good is the subject of the report, she did not participate in the Personnel Committee's consideration of this matter. Commissioner Good, like other commissioners, however, was provided a copy of the report before this meeting, and the report was provided to her on the same confidential basis applicable to the other members of the Board of Commissioners and remains confidential pending action by the board. Thus, if she or any commissioner were to have shared the report with anyone, they would be in violation of breach of confidentiality. I want to be clear about the nature of today's proceeding. This is not a hearing. The board is not sitting as an adjudicatory body, taking testimony, receiving evidence, determining the admissibility of evidence, or conducting a trial concerning the matters addressed in the report. As Commissioner Good is the subject of the report, she will be afforded an opportunity to make a statement. This will recur after the public comment period and following commissioner discussion of the report and its recommendations. That opportunity is not a reopening of the investigation and is not an evidentiary rebuttal of the investigator's findings. There will be no presentation of witnesses, cross-examination, questioning of the investigator, or point-by-point adjudication of the report. Now, the first order of business is that the board must first determine whether to waive any applicable privilege and then to authorize public release of the report. Because the report remains confidential until and unless the board acts, the public cannot presently be provided the report or its confidential contents. I would now entertain a motion to waive the attorney-client privilege to the extent applicable with respect to the independent investigative report and authorize the report to be released publicly without exhibits. Do I have a motion?
I need to speak.
Do I have a motion?
No, FOIA was
So
meant
moved.
to
You do
You
not
can't-
have the floor,
Second.
Commissioner.
You can't make a motion to release a report
you-
before I've had a chance to defend myself.
You do not have the floor,
report was
Commissioner.
written by an attorney
Mayor,
who
there's a
never
motion on the floor.
consulted me. I wasn't
I
given
second
the
it.
report until yesterday.
We have a motion and a
gangster
second.
government going on.
Evan,
I wasn't even informed about the existence
Can
of
you-
the report until
where is
Wednesday,
it,
2
Evan?
days ago.
I can't, are you silencing her phone, her microphone?
Mayor, just to be clear, the motion is to waive confidentiality. That's all we're talking about right now, is that correct?
Well, the specifics, yes.
Thank you.
Waive attorney-client privilege to the extent applicable with respect to the independent investigative report that we're referred to, and authorize the report to be released publicly without exhibits. We have a motion and a second in that vein, and we'll just do a group vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And we have one nay from Commissioner Good, and the remainder of the commissioners have voted in favor of releasing it. So the board, with a favorable vote just now, has waived privilege to the extent applicable and authorized public release of the report without its exhibits by way of embedment of the report into this meeting agenda following adjournment of the meeting. Again, after this meeting, the report will be embedded into the agenda. I will now recognize Commissioner Gossett, Chair of the Personnel Committee, to provide an overview of the investigation, the report, its findings, and its recommendations.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, the report begins with the scope of investigation. On or about June 29, 2026, DeBianca Law LLC was retained by the City of Rehoboth Beach to investigate allegations of harassment and abusive behavior by Commissioner Suzanne Good, targeting 2 city employees. The evidence considered by the investigator includes 1, approximately 90 emails sent by Commissioner Good in June 2026 to certain employees and elected officials. 2, certain emails sent by Commissioner Good to employee number 2 during the month of July 2026. July emails targeted with the June emails with reviewed emails. 3, interviews of the targeted employees. And 4, correspondence relating to prior efforts of the city to deter abusive behavior by Commissioner Good. It is the understanding of the investigator that Commissioner Good sent nearly 2,000 emails to the targeted employees since 2024 and continues to send more on a daily, near daily basis. However, this report is limited to the reviewed emails as a representative and current sample of the communications. The report in summary states the questions presented to the investigator include 1, whether there are reasonable grounds to conclude that Commissioner Good engaged in harassment and or abuse in violation of any city policy, rule, or ordinance. And 2, if yes, what steps are available to remedy, stop, and or prevent future violations from occurring. The investigator determines that there are reasonable grounds to conclude that Commissioner Good engaged in conduct that violates the city civility code and recommends that the city take immediate action to stop the conduct and ensure it does not happen in the future, as outlined in the recommendations. Legal background outlined in the report, there are several laws to the present analysis. They are described below: anti-harassment and anti-retaliation laws, the civility code, and the ethics code. The nature of the abusive behavior is persistent despite repeated interventions and continued escalations, and is calculated circumvention of directives establish conduct so far outside the norms of acceptable professional behavior and the obligations set forth in the Civility Code as to warrant serious and immediate remedial action by the city to prevent legal liability under state and federal employment and workplace safety laws, and to avoid the high cost and associated negative impacts that prolong abusive behavior that have on employee morale, workplace productivity, and the city's ability to operate efficiently of the city. The report makes the following recommendations. The City Board of Commissioners is recommended to consider the following remedial steps to address the ongoing abuse of city employees by Commissioner Good. 1, prohibit Commissioner Good from communicating directly or indirectly with the city employees electronically, in person, via phone, or other channel or method. To effectuate this, the city should create and apply a system by which all emails received from accounts associated with Commissioner Good are automatically redirected to a special purpose and sequestered email account, which should be checked at regular intervals by the mayor or their designee. Additionally, city employees should be permitted to block Commissioner Good's associated phone numbers from their personal and city phones to prevent them from receiving further text messages and phone calls from Commissioner Good. 2, prohibit Commissioner Good from accessing the city's administrative offices and deactivate her key cards, fobs, and/or keys to ensure compliance. 3, formally request that Commissioner Good produce to the city all communications involving city business sent and/or received via a personal platform, including but not limited to via Gmail, text messages, and Facebook and other social media. 4, formally request that Commissioner Good issue unqualified written apologies to employee number 1 and employee number 2 within 2 weeks in a form and which substantiates approved by the board, and that such apologies, if any, be made public. 5, formally request that Commissioner Good promptly complete city-approved training on the subject of respectful workplace and civility and FOIA and public records laws and obligations. 6, review compliance with the remedial measures on a date certain between 60 and 90 days. Additionally, the board is recommended to consider issuing a formal censure for the conduct that has occurred and/or if the conduct continues following the adoption of some or all of the above remedial measures. Respectfully submitted, Margaret Diabanca, Esquire, Diabanca Law, LLC. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, the members of the board who participated in consideration of this matter will make comments or have the opportunity to make comments they wish just concerning the report and the actions to be taken. Commissioner Good, you will be granted an opportunity to speak following public comment on this matter. Commissioner Stewart, you wanted to...
That's not the usual order.
Thank you, Mayor.
Public comment comes last.
You don't have the floor.
Today's report documents repeated violations of federal and state workplace safety laws as well as the city charter. We take no satisfaction in this. We want nothing more than to move on, but we have no choice. Releasing this report and implementing its recommendation, however inadequate to the harm caused, is necessary. In most workplaces, the documented conduct would warrant termination. Our laws provide no such path for an elected official. To simply move on would mean keeping this conduct secret, leaving the victims to shoulder the burdens themselves without institutional support. That is unacceptable. This report focuses on 2 victims, employee 1 and employee number 2, and just 2 months of emails, but the record is larger than that. There are many more months of abusive emails and social media posts that violates these very same laws. And the commissioner targeted other city employees as well. That is why this report and its release is necessary. These are real people with real professional reputations and real careers. And the city needed to use what limited power it has to say, we hear you, we see you, We wish we could do more. Does the city want to move on? Absolutely. Does it have the power to? It does not. The power lies squarely with the commissioner. This behavior must stop now. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other commissioners?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Gossett?
Yes. Commissioner Good, your words and actions have brought us to this moment. You have never denied that you have said or done these things. Words and actions have consequences. The gridlock you have created with your pattern of conduct designated to intimidate, demean, and harass rather than to advance legitimate city business is unacceptable, inconsistent with the standard expected of an elected official, and disruptive to the effective operation of city government. The city, as an employer, has an obligation to maintain a safe workplace free from harassment and abuse. The pattern of overt aggression targeting employees represents a serious breach of the most basic professional standards expected in any work environment and has rendered this workplace inhospitable and potentially unsafe for all city staff. It is my expectation that the city and Commissioner Good will implement the recommendations in the report and that the result will be a more effective and civil operation of civic government. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any commissioners? I'll reserve my statement to a later time. So, as the board has now acted to waive privilege, the report has been authorized for public release, and the Personnel Committee has explained its findings and recommendations of the report, and we will now provide an opportunity for public comment now that the substance of the matter has been publicly presented. Is there anybody that would like to comment on the substance of the report? Nancy Doyle?
My name is Nancy Doyle, and I live at 202 Country Club Drive. And I am a resident, and I was well met as a federal prosecutor because I'm from New England. And people from where I am in Vermont, New England are pretty moralistic, often annoyingly so. And I was built that way, so I could speak with real credibility to juries. But one of my great honors as a prosecutor was dealing with the victims of crime. As a part I hadn't really experienced my childhood in New England, was bonding with them, sort of really being their helper and their therapist. When I look back in those years, be standing tough with those victims of crime and standing with them and saying this isn't right and this has to stop, to bullies of all sorts, serial rapists, double homicides, and simple misdemeanors that could cause life-changing emotional harm to victims. To be there with them was in the moment, not afterwards, not after a lawsuit, but in the moment, was so important to them. And it made me so useful. It was as important as anything I did in the courtroom. And though I went on to do international financial policy and derivatives and other things, if you ask me the most useful I ever was in my career, it was how I took care of those victims in the moment. Bullying has no place in the workforce. It's not a little civil thing. I have been present in this room and I have seen the bullying. It has to be dealt with. Being quiet doesn't work with bullies. And I'm not saying any one person is just a bully or that's just one thing. People are complex, but bullying behavior, I should be saying, not bullies, bullying behavior has to be confronted. And you guys are doing the right thing. And I know it's hard, but what has been happening, what I've heard, is very wrong. I can't help but judge it morally, but I'm happy my tax dollars are being spent to try to stop it and to protect these city employees.
Thank you, Nancy. Is there any other member of the public that would like to comment on the substance of the report as articulated by Commissioner Gossett? Mr. Perry?
Richard Perry, resident of the city. I can't say how much I agree with what Nancy said. It almost doesn't need anyone else to comment, but I do want to say that having been an owner of many businesses over the years in my career, nothing was more disturbing as a senior executive, as a general counsel, as a chief operating officer, than to learn that an employee was being harassed by anyone within the organization. That is totally inappropriate. As you have said, it damages the efficiency of the business, and the city is a business, and it is not immune from having to abide by the statutes that apply to harassment in the workplace. And so I commend you for what you have done, and although the public hasn't yet seen the report, based on what we heard here today, I believe that you are doing exactly the right thing to correct this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Anybody else, members of the public, commenting on the substance of the report? If not, I'm going to close public comment right now, right at this moment. And Commissioner Good, you will now be given the opportunity to speak, to be followed by a vote by these commissioners, by all commissioners, to vote to accept the findings of the report and adopt and implement the recommendations contained therein. That vote would follow your thing. You are now recognized to speak. You do not have an infinite amount of time. I do have the power to stop you at a certain point. Go ahead.
Okay, well, as per usual, I've been blindsided by a number of things. I was not informed in late June that this had gone under contract. Normally that should have gone to a vote of the Board of Commissioners, whether to investigate one commissioner. I only learned of the existence of this report when the agenda for today's meeting was published a week ago on August 14th. Maybe one of the reasons I've sent multiple emails is when I asked, I said, you're not going to publish, this report, may I see it? Well, I got no response. And then once I finally was told on Wednesday afternoon, August 19th, that I could pick up my copy on Thursday morning, the 20th, at that point, once I saw it, because it's riddled with inaccuracies, misrepresentations, and everything else, I never got a response as to whether I said, you can't release this to the public. Well, lo and behold, behind closed doors, they had made arrangements already to do that. The overarching problem here, and these two employees are the top two administrators in the city. There's sort of this implication that I somehow was abusing other employees. But first of all, I wasn't abusing those two employees. I didn't get answers. I had one refusing to reveal settlement terms when I was trying to bring an end to bring or get negotiations going for the city manager report. And then weeks later, she finally relented when she realized it was illegal to withhold those terms from the entire board. Those terms had only been shared with a select number of commissioners. FOIA was meant to protect citizens from government overreach and to assure transparency. FOIA, which has been weaponized here against me, was not designed to use information against elected officials, and yet that is what the Rehoboth Beach government has done with FOIA. They have weaponized it. Selected officials went ahead and contracted for this investigation in June of 2026. I had no idea because apparently they decided we're allowed to just use this. It seems like a misuse of taxpayer money not to have sought the approval of people to conduct an investigation. And when an investigation is an attorney up in Wilmington looking at emails who never deigns to contact me, who never contacts me, obviously it's a one-sided investigation. Let me give you one example. You're going to read this salacious report tonight, maybe. One of them, Mr. Tedder, talks about a December 2024 phone conversation he and I had. I happened to be in San Francisco. He, I believe, was here in Rehoboth. and he alleges that I said a number of things, but he omits the fact that I said that someone on next door said these things. That is not equivalent. My words have been twisted. That's just one example. And so there was no due diligence to a report. This seems like the investigating attorney never got my side of anything. I was never given the opportunity to defend myself. I'm just sort of gobsmacked by this whole thing. Some commissioners had access to this report before I did. I was not allowed. I was told on late Wednesday afternoon I could pick it up Thursday morning. So in that case, the city manager claims in the report that he's paraphrasing my words, but he does so inaccurately that he imputes ill intentions to me, or that he imputes that I'm talking
Commissioner
about.
Good, would you listen for a minute? Would you just listen for a minute? I gave an introduction at the beginning of this meeting that we're not relitigating this. We're not reopening the
I
investigation.
get my
We're not-
opportunity to defend myself
Well,
because
you
you
know.
have done this behind closed doors. You hire an attorney who never speaks to me. Can you imagine if an investigator was investigating something and never spoke to the person whom they were investigating? That is a complete
You have
sham.
two more minutes, so use them wisely.
Words have been attributed to me which aren't mine. Emails are taken out of context completely. And there's Mr. Tedder uses one particular email from February 2025 repeatedly, in which I wrote to a constituent and said in the subjunctive tense that some people would say that. And they need to rely on one email from February 2025 as somehow proof that I would speak using that language, and I rarely curse or use any vulgar words in emails. So it's sort of they're building a narrative that is inconsistent with how I've behaved. Let me give you an example of my attempts to move the newsstands, and then just a couple days ago asking
Commissioner
Mr. Tedder
Good.
why the pagoda on the boardwalk where we were supposed to put the newsstands hasn't been returned, but instead rocks are being placed
come to a
by
close.
the bollards, and I get no response. That was 48 or 72 hours ago. So obviously my job has gotten very frustrating, and when I receive no answers from either Mr. Tedder or the city solicitor, I have had to email them repeatedly. For them to say
Commissioner
that's
Good,
abuse
thank you.
is a stretch. I'm not done.
Evan?
More generally, by any questions of accountability
Commissioner
and
Good,
finance,
Commissioner Good, the mayor has called time.
I'm left shocked, and obviously the way this has been handled is unacceptable.
Commissioners,
and I
I will-
feel that I'm being forced to. I have spoken to a lawyer, or I spoke.
Commissioner
to a
Good,
lawyer today.
Commissioner Good.
The city is bringing a lawsuit
Commissioner Good.
onto itself by their
Please
mishandling.
discontinue. Thank you, Commissioner Good.
I will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a
accept
motion.
to accept the findings of the report and adopt and implement the recommendations contained therein with a date to review compliance at the Board of Commissioners meeting on October 16th.
So moved.
No, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the findings of the report and adopt and implement the recommendations contained therein with a date to review compliance at the Board of Commissioners meeting on October 16th. No, who said that?
23rd.
October 23rd? At a future meeting date to be determined. Is it the 23rd?
I believe it's the 16th. Let's see here. 16th.
It's the third Friday is the 16th of
Correct.
October.
October
6th. The original motion stands. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We'll let the record show that Commissioner Good left the room at 4:04 p.m. and did not vote. With that, the results of the vote were 6 present commissioners voting yes in favor and 1 absent. Who?
May I make a statement?
Yes.
Thank you.
May I?
Yeah. Are you?
Point of order, Mayor. We voted to release this without the exhibits, and the exhibits are all redacted. I don't understand, since Commissioner Good has raised an issue that she wasn't interviewed, but these are all her own words. Why wouldn't we be releasing this with the report? I'm confused.
I know that was discussion between them, that's why I'm looking at Lisa. Are you okay with, okay? So I would entertain a new.
May I make a motion that we release the report?
We have a
release
motion,
the
we have a
exhibits?
motion on the floor first.
Okay,
Don't-
sorry.
Don't we need to
Sorry,
do
Mayor.
procedure?
Yes.
Let's do
Yes.
this. Actually, we've already voted.
I thought we voted.
We've
May I-
already voted. Now
May
you
may I
may.
make a motion to release, along with the report, the exhibits that came with the report?
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second to release the exhibits as part of the public release. Help me with wording there.
Take a vote.
To,
To release
Call
the
the
report
question.
with the exhibits. You've already motioned to release the report. So it's a motion to include the exhibits with the prior approved release of the report.
you got that? Can you restate that?
You do
I
it.
think, Mayor, for a point of order, I think that the original motion was, if I may repeat it, I would like to make a motion to accept the findings of the report and adopt and implement the recommendations contained therein, the new added aspects of, to be reflected or reviewed on October 16th. So the findings of the report generally include the exhibits. So I don't think that the motion excluded the exhibits. It spoke of finding of the report.
The original
Did.
motion to waive
Correct.
attorney-client privilege
Correct.
excluded the exhibits. So now we're undoing that.
Just adding the exhibits. You don't need to undo it, just a motion to.
I
release
think
the
that
exhibits
just
as
call the
well.
question.
So we have a motion and a second to release the exhibits as part of the waived attorney-client privilege.
So moved.
Second it again.
It's already,
Okay.
okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously 6-0. With that, I'd like to,
Can I make a statement real quick?
yes, yes.
Just for the public, I wanted to make a statement. The exhibits in the report are redacted. The information here today is employee 1 and employee 2. I just want to be clear that any statements made by Commissioner Good are her assumptions as to who they are. That may be able to be figured out on your own. But that was not anything that the commissioners here included in their report, and the copies that you received will be redacted. And so I just want to make that announcement. I also wanted to encourage everybody to look at the civility code. It does say that these proceedings will be public. And in addition, the commissioners looked into the FOIA rules regarding this that mandate this sort of situation be in public. So I just want to make that clear for the public as to why that was done here today in this manner. Thank you all.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to make my statement, and hi, Suzanne, who will be watching this at some point, I hope. I have been caught up in all this nastiness for almost 2 years, dating back to the election of Suzanne Good to a commissioner seat. I am wrapped up in this disturbance likely more than the other commissioners because of my role as mayor and because I too have been the recipient of Commissioner Good's uncivil behaviors, both direct and by being copied on emails or texts or voicemails sent to the city manager or sent to the city solicitor or sent to staff, commissioners, even other constituents. I've been the author of multiple cease and desist directives directed to Commissioner Good, which have attempted to abate her uncivil behaviors and to suggest she seeks self-restraint and remediation, but to no avail. In fact, her intensity of belligerence only escalated and is at an unacceptable level, which can no longer be tolerated and should never have been tolerated from the beginning. And so I believe we have come to the point where we must take the most severe action we can take at this time to end Commissioner Good's intentional lies and harassment. With the facts and recommendations contained in this report before us, what we are doing is putting up barriers to protect our employees from continuing harassment, almost 2 years' worth of verifiable, documentable, and hurtful incivility generated by Commissioner Good. Her vitriolic actions have been directed at city staff, including the multiple people in building and licensing, our HR director, our communications specialist, our city manager, our city solicitor, our interim city solicitor, our commissioners, and our mayor. All the while, she knows her actions are wrongful. Multiple admonitions and cease and desist directives authored not just by me as mayor, but also by the city manager and by the city solicitor have not gotten through to her. If we were an HOA board, there would likely be a bylaw establishing conditions for expelling a board member. Unfortunately for us, removal of an elected official is not that easy. And so we have to resort to hiring an outside lawyer at additional expense to examine the behaviors of Commissioner Good and then to provide recommendations for how to remediate such uncivil behaviors. I want to note that this has never been about differences of opinion on issue, but rather it is solely about uncivil behaviors, with much of the time can be characterized as mean-spirited and nasty, and which again, in the case of Commissioner Good, are well documented in emails, next door postings, videos, texts, voicemails, as the reference report attests to. All municipal elected officials in Delaware take the same oath. It is so important that it is embedded in the Delaware Constitution, Article 14, Section 1. When elected, she stated, "I, Suzanne Good, do proudly swear or affirm to carry out the responsibilities of the office of Commissioner of the City of Rehoboth Beach to the best of my ability, freely acknowledging that the powers of this office flow from the people I am privileged to represent. I further swear or affirm always to place the public interests above any special or personal interests and to respect the right of future generations to share the rich historic and natural heritage of Delaware." Continuing, in doing so, I will always uphold and defend the constitutions of my country and my state, so help me God. This oath is the basis upon which we carry out our duties. Serving is a privilege. The public interests are paramount. But most importantly, the responsibilities of a commissioner require fidelity to our own municipal code, which mandates civility and courteous behavior and prohibits harassment. The perseverate, uncivil, discourteous, and harassing behavior must cease. By code, the city mandates that applicants for business licenses have a reputation for operating their business in an honest manner. City Code Section 125A, 120-5A. How can we demand businesses act honestly yet tolerate mistruths from a sitting commissioner? Through her lies and ill treatment of city staff and, well, most everyone who contradicts her, Commissioner Good has violated her oath of office and has disgraced the position of commissioner, and she should resign. But as we, the Board of Commissioners, lack the power to force resignation, I support the recommendations of the report in front of us. I have supported it. and believe the public should witness the report content and judge for themselves. And so I voted in favor of waiving attorney-client privilege, releasing the report to the public with exhibits, and adopting and implementing the report recommendations. Frankly, I think tonight's behavior should be a good demonstration to everybody of what we've had to go through and deal with for the past 2 years. So to conclude, the board has retained an independent investigator to review the complaints that were presented to the city. The investigation has been completed. Personnel Committee has reviewed the resulting report, and the mayor and commissioners have now acted upon it. The city manager will ensure that the report without exhibits, now with exhibits, is made available to the public consistent with the action taken by the board. So again, by the next hour or so, the now public report will be embedded into the agenda. Did you have, I don't read lips from 20 feet. Thank you all. Thanks for members of the public. We conclude that section of the agenda. We move on to future agenda topics. If anybody, they're embedded in the agenda. If anybody has any questions or wants to add something to the agenda, certainly see Taylor Tedder. With that, review future meeting dates. Taylor indicated at the beginning of the meeting that because of Labor Day on a Monday, our meeting will be switched to Tuesday, September 8th. That's a commissioners' meeting. That's at 9 a.m. Subsequent to that, please note that Friday, September 18th, is our regular meeting, and that's our installation of our newly elected commissioners and mayor, and that meeting begins at 2 o'clock. With that, is there any additional citizen comment that anybody would like to make?
Nancy Doyle, 202 Country Club Drive. This is a yellow and chocolate cake from Pasquini Bakery. It's not a celebratory cake. I saw the agenda in advance, but I think like food is a important bonding experience. And yes, I should be bringing vegetables too. I'm working on it. But this is a great piece of cake, and I was hoping every commissioner could be here to have a piece of it, but I would have shared it with all of them. So a little bit of a sad day that this had to happen, but a good cake. So a healing cake I present to you.
Thank you, Nancy. Anybody else, members of the public, comment? If not, are there any commissioner announcements? Very good. With that, there being no further business, I adjourn this meeting at 4:17 p.m. Thank you, everybody.